When you talk about turning off all the voices in your head and then trying to turn them back on, I thought, man, that's too weird. If I get to listen to Somebody Boy, that's going to be a trip. Gas Monkey Garage fell apart the day Aaron Kaufman left. One day he was there building amazing cars, and the next he was gone, leaving behind no warnings or goodbyes and a huge empty space. The show's tight deadlines and pressure took all of his energy to do things right. But TV wanted things to happen quickly. Tune in to find out the shocking truth behind Kaufman's exit from Gas Monkey Garage. For years, Kaufman and Richard Rawlings ran the show. It wasn't just about fixing cars. It was their chemistry that kept viewers watching. Kaufman's cool, careful approach balanced Rawlings' fast-talking, wheeler-dealer persona, and then all of a sudden, Kaufman quit. His exit didn't just shake up the Fast and Loud world, it cracked the "but why did he really leave?" The truth might change everything. Let's go back a little ways. He wasn't the first fan favorite to leave Fast and Loud. Tom Smith and Jordan Butler, two well-liked mechanics, were fired before him, but their departure was barely noticed compared to his. When they left, fans were shocked, and when he left, fans demanded answers. Smith and Butler's firing was so shocking that rumors spread that Rawlings himself fired them after a disagreement. Later, Tom finally told the truth. They were fired not because they weren't doing a good job, but because they overreacted when someone took a picture next to one of Rawlings' favorite things. Aaron just got back today and told me that he's not coming back ever again. Wow, that's crazy. He quit. I don't know how else to put it. He just quit. A small, harmless incident turned into a huge fight and they were out of there. If Rawlings could, what did firing two mechanics for such a small issue say about the culture at Gas Monkey Garage? He was known for his high standards and perfectionism, so he probably saw the writing on the wall. He had always been about the craft, the precision, and the art of building cars. The more the show became about drama instead of engineering, the more obvious it became that he needed to leave. He didn't get fired, though. He walked, which makes his departure even more interesting. Fast and Loud kept going, but let's be honest, it wasn't the same. He was the heart of the Gas Monkey Garage, will always be Fast and Loud. But he'll always be remembered as the person who put the craft back into craftsmanship. His decision to step away wasn't based on a single moment of frustration. It was the result of years of pressure. Fans saw the sleek cars and dramatic builds, but behind the scenes it was a different story. There were urgent deadlines, a lot of stress, and growing tension with the show's producers. One of the things I want to talk about is the vacation and maybe going a little further. I had some time off, and I think I have some other things I want to talk about. It all took a toll. The breakup wasn't because of anger, at least not directly. He and Rawlings had always maintained a professional dynamic, but there were cracks in their relationship. Their goals were no longer aligned. Rawlings, ever the businessman, thrived in the high-energy, fast-paced world of soft soap, so he wanted something real, something that wasn't based on ratings and production schedules, something that let him focus on what he loved, machines. So that's what he did. He paved his own way. Shifting Gears wasn't just another car show, it was his declaration of independence. It showed him that he could succeed on his own terms. He put together a team, set his own deadlines, and built the cars he believed in. No shortcuts, no compromises, just passion and skill. Not only did Fast and Loud lose, but their exit was also a wake-up call. Fame isn't always more important than honesty. He could have stayed in the game and kept the checks coming in, but that wasn't who he was. He didn't want to be a celebrity mechanic. He just wanted to be a mechanic. As Fast and Loud went on without him, there was a noticeable shift. The energy wasn't the same. The dynamic had changed. The builds felt different. It was still a show about cars, but it lacked passion. Fans noticed how well he did his work and missed him. His story isn't just about leaving a TV show. It's about being true to what you believe in. He left comfort, a secure career, and the fame that came with being on one of the biggest car shows on TV because he refused to settle in a world where people chase fame. He chased passion, and that's why his story still feels relevant. He didn't just leave Fast and Loud, he moved on. He stayed true to, that's what makes him unforgettable. He tried to stay, even though it was stressful, but he had no choice. Aaron Kaufman's breaking point. Deep down, he wanted more than this assembly line way of working. He wanted to take his time and pour his soul into something truly impressive. But he knew that the network didn't want long builds. They wanted fast, flashy, and done yesterday. His dream of building huge, jaw-dropping machines was nowhere in sight. It was clear to go after that. It wasn't easy for him to leave because the show gave him a platform, fans, and, let's be honest, a paycheck. He didn't want to look like he was quitting just because things got tough, so he waited for the right time to leave without making waves. In the meantime, his feeling of being trapped got worse every day. Before cameras followed him around, he was just another guy working in a Dallas garage, suffocating under routine repairs and basic car builds. Things changed for a while when Rawlings walked in, saw his talent, and put him on the show. It was great that they built cars, a show, and something that fans loved, but the cracks had been there for a while and got too big to ignore as time went on. When he finally decided to leave, he planned it carefully so there would be no drama or bad blood, at least not in public. When he announced it, Rawlings wasn't shocked because he knew the signs and knew his heart wasn't in it anymore. Fans were devastated, but the bearded wonder was gone and the show would never be the same without him. But he wasn't just wanting something new, he had deeper reasons that he didn't talk about openly in later interviews. He hinted at personal and professional conflicts with Rawlings. These weren't small disagreements, they were big enough to end their working relationship. And if things had gone badly between them, who knew what was going on behind the scenes with the rest of the team? He wasn't just plain dramatic. Because he was tired of doing the same things over and over, he wanted a challenge that would actually push him as a builder. He wanted to leave, and as soon as he did, he started right away on something better. He went out and found the best build DRS who shared his passion. It wasn't easy, but he had a vision, and people wanted to be a part of it. He wasn't just building cars, he was creating something unique, a place where creativity came before what? His new garage wasn't just another shop, it was a haven for real craftsmanship. He didn't become famous overnight, he worked hard for what he wanted, even if it meant leaving something safe. His story wasn't just about cars, it was about refusing to settle. Sometimes chasing a dream means making the hardest decisions. His new venture, a genuine fabrication, took off right away, and investors lined up. Rumors spread that even Rawlings had put money into it. If there was money to be made, Rawlings was all for it, no matter who was behind the wheel. Love him or hate him, he knew a good business when he saw one. But he wasn't just interested in making money, he wanted quality, precision, and something that mattered. Instead of taking on every kind of build, he focused on what he loved. Vintage Ford trucks from the late 1950s to the late 1970s. No distractions, no filler, just the cars he loved built the way they should be. Specializing wasn't just a smart move. It was the key to doing things right. Everything in the new shop was done with purpose. Every wrench turn, every paint job, and every piece of metalwork was done with intent. There were no rush deadlines, and quality wasn't sacrificed to meet a production schedule. This was about taking the time to make something truly amazing, and with each finished build, he proved that this was where he belonged. I won't be your competition. And it worked out, so I went to work for what was then called the Hack Shack. Drop Zone ended up being a drop zone for a few years. Word quickly spread, and soon our kite fabrication had more work than it could handle. These weren't just customers, they were car lovers who wanted something unique. They didn't want generic designs, they wanted vehicles built with soul. His team was able to deliver exactly that. As the projects piled up, so did the challenges. It wasn't easy to find parts for old Fords when only the best would do. He loved the challenge of finding rare parts, making custom parts when needed, and never sacrificing quality. It wasn't about cutting corners, it was about pushing the limits. He wasn't just building cars, he was building a legacy. Each car that left his garage had a story and a mark of dedication that couldn't be faked. That's what made his work stand out. He had left the fast-paced, TV-friendly builds to make something real and lasting. Of course, not everything was perfect. Running a business came with problems like budgets, deadlines, and the stress of keeping standards high. But for the first time in a long time, he was in charge of everything, and that made all the difference. Years went by, and the risk he took paid off. His shop became a powerhouse in the custom car world, respected by those who valued true craftsmanship. He had left the spotlight of TV, but he had stepped into something even greater. His reputation wasn't built on moving from being a struggling mechanic to becoming a household name in the automotive world wasn't easy. It took guts, sacrifice, and an unwillingness to settle for less than what he knew he was capable of. But looking back, every hard choice had been worth it. Leaving wasn't just about quitting a show, it was about saving his passion. But was it the right move? The battle for real car building in front of the cameras in the international famed Kaufman was unusually unlike. Unlike most mechanics, Kaufman was obsessed with reimagining cars in ways that no one else could. His eye for performance, innovation, and raw mechanics set him apart from the average mechanic. He wasn't just fixing vehicles, he was about transforming them. He spent his early years learning the craft in small local garages, soaking up every technique and perfecting his approach. Unlike most mechanics, Kaufman saw each build as a canvas for creativity. His work was about precision, custom craftsmanship, and the idea of pushing the limits and not just painting a car and selling it for quick cash caught the attention of Richard Rawlings, a businessman with an eye for opportunity. Rawlings wasn't a builder, but he had an uncanny knack for spotting talent and packaging it for profit. He needed someone to bring his vision for Gas Monkey Garage to life, and Kaufman was that person. Their partnership was based on a simple equation. Rawlings handled the deals, and Kaufman made sure the cars lived up to the hype when Fast and Loud came out. When Gas Monkey Garage got picked up by Discovery Channel, it stopped being just a shop in Dallas and became a brand. Kaufman's face became one of the show's biggest selling points. Audiences instantly connected with his straight-toward attitude, his ability to take on nearly impossible builds, and the calm precision he brought to an otherwise high-energy show. While Rawlings was the fast-talking negotiator, Kaufman was the man who actually made things happen. He was the substance behind the spectacle, and fans loved him. Respected that at first it seemed like the perfect setup. Kaufman had a platform to show off his skills, resources that let him do ambitious builds, and an audience around the world that liked his work. But as Fast and Loud grew, so did the demands behind the scenes. TV works on deadlines, and those deadlines don't always respect the reality of building cars. My success rate was pretty high. Everything worked, and we were understanding the concepts or starting to understand them. In a real garage, a custom build can take weeks or even months to perfect. But on Fast and Loud, the pressure was on to make jaw-dropping changes in record time. It wasn't about what was best for the car, it was about what would get the most viewers. For Kaufman, who had spent his whole life getting better at what he did, this was a nightmare. He wasn't just an employee, he was an artist who cared deeply about his work, and seeing speed and drama come at the expense of quality wore him down over time. The long hours were not only hard on his body, but they also made him hate his job. He had gone into TV to share his love of cars, but he found himself stuck in a system that valued show over substance. Being famous changed everything. The Aaron Kaufman fans saw on TV was a carefully edited version of himself, and as the show's popularity grew, he had less and less control over how he was presented. Fans started to see him as a mythical figure who could magically change things. They didn't see the long hours, stress, and sacrifices that came with the job. Another burden was the lack of privacy. While Rawlings liked being in the spotlight, Kaufman wasn't after fame. He didn't want to be a celebrity, he wanted to build. But everywhere he went, fans recognized him, stopped him, and treated him like he was still on the clock. There was no off switch. His work followed him home, into his personal life, and into his mind, even when the cameras weren't there. Not only was he physically and mentally tired, but he was also constantly asked to do more, with less time to focus on actual craftsmanship. The never-ending cycle of TV production made him question everything. Could he keep doing this? Did he even want to? Was this really what success was supposed to feel like? I don't do these things, so I hope it works out. But let's talk about an exotic car, Damon's F12. The last time you saw it, we were getting ready to build headers. As we'll see, is a complicated car for many reasons. By 2017, it was clear that Kaufman had reached his limit and that staying on Fast and Loud meant giving up everything he loved about cars. He shocked fans by leaving, which led to a lot of questions about what had gone wrong behind the scenes. Some thought it was a fallout with Rawlings, while others thought it was burnout. The truth was that Kaufman just wanted his freedom back. He wanted to create without lacking the artificial drama and the constant demand for bigger, faster, and more extreme content. Kaufman wasn't giving up cars, he was taking them back. Leaving Fast and Loud didn't mean leaving the industry. Instead, it gave him a fresh start. He opened ArcLight Fabrication, a shop that builds and customizes classic Ford F-100 trucks. This wasn't just a business move, it was a statement that he wasn't going to follow anyone else's rules anymore. ArcLight was everything that fast. There were no rushed builds, scripted moments, or lowering of quality for the sake of entertainment. Instead, it was about craftsmanship, precision, and working on cars without the constant pressure of a looming TV deadline. But Kaufman wasn't done with TV yet. He came back with Aaron Kaufman, a show that let him set the pace and focus on what mattered, the engineering behind the builds. It was the kind of project that let him breathe, try new things, and remind people that cars are cool. It's important to know when to give up. He had a successful show, a huge fan base, and financial security, but he chose passion over profit and honesty over convenience. In a business where people will do anything to stay relevant, that choice speaks volumes. Today, Kaufman is still building, still coming up with new ideas, and still showing that true success isn't about staying in the spotlight, it's about staying true to yourself. Fans may have missed him on reality. Kaufman's leaving was the best thing that could have happened because he didn't just build cars, he built a legacy. And that's something that no TV contract could ever buy. Did you think Kaufman's leaving was a stand for craftsmanship or just another reality TV casualty? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe for more.